when we talk about flipping, I want to qualify it and isolate this main issue. You're not one of the guys. How many total hours did you spend with the president?
Oh, my God.
Total hours.
50,000.
Okay, that's a lot of. How many people have spent 50,000 hours with them?
0.
Okay, so you're a guy.
Maybe Alan Weisselberg.
Let's say a handful.
lot, but maybe
Let's say a
I
handful.
don't think as many.
Let's say a handful. Let's say a handful. Maybe his son, family, whoever it is. Let's say a handful. Okay, so you go. You know everything. In a business sense, I'm trusting you, and you're telling the pub, I would take a bullet for this guy.
And I would have.
I think. At what age you read Art of the Deal twice? You were 15 or 16 years old? I don't know what it was.
So the Art of the Deal came out in 1987. I was a sophomore in college.
College, okay. And I think you said you read it a couple times.
Twice.
So this is a guy you looked up to since you were a kid coming up.
Correct.
So you ended up working for this guy.
Yes.
You're in there.
In there.
I don't have it prepared, but if I wanted to tell my guys in the next 6 hours to create the clips of every time you defamed him, they can come up with hundreds, yes?
Well, I don't know about the word defamed, but I would say said extremely negative things about him.
Low life is pretty negative.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, low life is pretty negative. So it's not like I don't want to play it.
By the way, with all due respect, think about how many times she said that about me.
But there's a difference, though. Here's the difference, and I will tell you what the difference is. If in the power structures of the world, okay, especially with him, New York, you guys go by a different rule than Toledo or Mesa, Arizona, or Glendale, California. It's a different rule in New York. New York is tough in business. New York real estate is tough. So when you're playing it, you have to know in the power structure, I'm the boss, him, and you're my right-hand guy that's doing stuff for me. I expect 100% that you have my back.
And I gave it that.
I get that. But what was the moment where you were kind of like, were you hoping for a job? Were you hoping to get something that maybe you didn't get? And then was the pressure from the other side so much that maybe someone from that administration came in and said, Michael, if you do X, Y, Z, we will protect you. We will have your back. We will get you a job. You'll be taken care of. Because that's typically things that happen.
But that's
what
not
happened?
how it happened.
Okay, so what happened?
Okay. We have to break that down into things because
Go for it.
The timeline is all over, right? It's like from the year of Gimel all the way to the end of the earth in terms of the timeline you just set up. I received exactly what I asked President-elect Trump for. There was all this bullshit about Michael wanted to be chief of staff. That's not true. What I wanted, Mr. Trump gave to me. Personal attorney to the President of the United States of America. When I tell you I was honored with that title, I was honored he gave it to me. It was one of the few times in my life, other than when my children were born, I had tears in my eyes. Tears. I was like, thank you, sir. That's exactly what I want. I don't want to be chief of staff. How can I monetize that position as chief of staff? I don't want to live in D.C. I lived in D.C. for 4 years. Mm-hmm. My son was a senior in high school. My daughter was a senior in college. My son was a ball player, playing actually for Hank's Yanks, the high school travel baseball team for the New York Yankees. He had tryouts with the Chicago White Sox, with the Yankees, the Mets. As a young boy, I wanted to be there for every single game. And in fact, if I can just tell a good story about Trump, and I've told the story many times, it's not as if I only said bad things about him. I also said some positive things about him. But you're not wrong when you say Trump was a baseball player when he was at NYMA, New York Military Academy. And how do I know that? By coincidence, I end up speaking to his coach, who actually also had to be like the general over there at New York Military Academy. He says, I'd love to come in and speak to Donald because the school is going to be for sale. Mm-hmm. And I'd like Donald to buy it. So keep NYMA going. He comes in, little guy, right? But rock solid and typical what you would say. He's, as Trump would say, he was central casting. Trump goes, Michael, keep him away. Michael, keep him away from me. I said, why, boss? So he goes, he once smacked me so hard in the head. He hit me upside the head so hard. He goes, sometimes when I think about it, I still get a headache. And I was like, really? So he goes, I sure did. And so on. And he did. He goes, but I will tell you, Donald was the best baseball player. He was an incredible hand-eye coordination as a hitter and as a fielder. And I said, no kidding. Really? So he goes, yeah. So he goes, he was a great baseball player. Donald got a chance to know, of course, my children quite well. especially, my son. And he loved the fact that he was a baseball player, but not just a baseball. He was a really good baseball player. In fact, the time I was allegedly in Prague, we were in L.A., where my son had a tryout with the USC Trojans. Another time he was here at Miami, where he ended up going to school at the University of Miami. He wanted to play for the Miami Hurricanes. Didn't happen because of everything that happened. He ended up a little bit with the yips. To anybody in baseball knows what the yips is. It's where psychologically it just throws you off. It's almost like, one day you're pitching a no-hitter, and the next day you can't hit the strike zone. It's a real condition. But Trump always said, even if I need you, I'm not going to bother you when you're at the game with your kid. I'm not going to take you away from that. He appreciates sports. In fact, he's actually quite knowledgeable in all sports, much, much, much more than I. And I always appreciated that from him, and there was more than just a few games. I don't have to tell you, because it's truncated into a short period, but he was always great.
So you're his right-hand guy, right-hand lawyer, and when you're at the game, he's not bothering you?
No, unless it was an emergency, and then, he was like, just when you get back, just come straight over. And sometimes that would mean come over to the apartment, or I'll meet you down in the office, or just we would spend hours on the telephone, dealing with an issue. Hey, Michael Cohen here. Look, you all know who I am, Donald Trump's former personal attorney and fixer. A lot of things have taken place over the years. A lot of questions need to be answered. Well, you may have a lot of questions. So do me a favor. Anytime you want to ask me a question, feel free to reach out to me on Connect.
If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.